Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 8. In this one, we're going to start with giving our thoughts on how we think Enid will react when she finds out. And spoiler warning, as per usual, if you are not caught up for The Walking Dead, which is up to the mid-season finale for The Walking Dead Season 8. So, as per usual, I'm going to continue along with The Walking Dead videos. If you guys have any other questions for the Q&A, send them to me. And I probably won't have one for you guys tomorrow, but we'll have one for you the next day, probably Saturday. So send me whatever you guys got, whatever you want to discuss. This week, been doing quite a few videos on Fear. And, of course, there was the big news in the weekend that Scott Gimple is no longer showrunner for The Walking Dead. So if anybody hasn't seen those videos, I'll have them in the end screen credits for you here. You can definitely check them out and find out all the details about, just about everything about that, because it's really a crazy shift. So I'm going to be merging more of the Q&As between The Walking Dead and Fear, and it's nothing against people that don't like Fear and want just Walking Dead solo videos, but the thing is that they're getting closer to merging the universe. They're getting closer to merging the shows. So with regards to my videos, it doesn't really make sense for me to solely separate them because the shows are actually getting closer themselves. So for us to kind of have both questions kind of included from both series, I think that just makes sense at this point, that there's going to be a lot of crossover with even regards to the questions and things that are going on. So some of these that we'll get into later are for Fear the Walking Dead, and we'll discuss just all the recent news and kind of stuff. So there's some good ones here. And if you guys haven't heard it or seen it, good friends at iHeartRadio, Elvis Duran and the Morning Show, David Brody, they did a Walkers and Talkers. They've got a podcast where they had Caitlin Nacon on. So I'll have the link in the description. You guys can check it out. They did a really good one with Michael Cudlitz as well too, so you can check out that page through it goes to iTunes and that for the podcast. I've been on it before myself as well too. There's an old one you can check out if you want to hear me on it with them. But really cool guys, and or guy and gal, and you can check it out if you want to see kind of her, kind of just answer some questions about maybe a little bit to what Enid. She probably can't say too much because of course we got to see the back half first, and she doesn't want to get in trouble for saying anything. But it's really cool. You guys can go through. You can check it out. You can hear some of the things that Enid would be experiencing right now or feeling, or that she might feel coming up, because of course, as you guys got to see, mid-season finale, it was revealed that Carl is dying. Carl is dead. Scott Gimple even confirmed it afterwards that it's a zombie bite. It's going to play out, how they usually do. It's not a whisper bite or anything like that. So he's dead. He's dead-ity dead. So, which character in the series, aside from his immediate family, Rick and Michonne, is going to be most impacted from that one? Enid's got to be one of them. She's got to be right up there near the top. Because for her, there's not too many other survivors her own age that she can really relate to in the zombie apocalypse. It was like her and Carl, and then I can't really think of anybody else really that, Henry's a little younger, not really in their kind of age range. They were kind of alone in that age bracket. So, definitely I would expect to see in the second half part of an episode or something dedicated to her for her to find out. But it might not be until like the end of the season, like closer to the end or at least halfway through, because of course her and Aaron are right now at the Oceanside, and she's just accidentally killed their leader, right? So that's going to have to be resolved first before she's able to find out. I don't assume that they would really hold it against her. It was an honest mistake, and it was something that happened that obviously they're going to be really upset about. But it's a little girl, and she got a little trigger happy there. She made a mistake. She killed Netanya, which I can't imagine many people would have liked her anyway, because she was kind of nasty last time we met her and everything, and just kind of mean to everybody. So I can't imagine she had all that much charisma over the people of the Oceanside. But so we got to see that resolved, of course, first. And Caitlin Nacon was promoted to a season regular for this season, so we do know that she's going to be, for season 8, she's going to have a lot, and then season 9 she'll probably have a lot as well too. But it's really interesting to say like what the future of her character is going to be, because of course Carl's not there. Without Carl being there, what they do with her is going to remain to be seen. It should be good stuff, but we gotta see right now. As far as the character goes, I've never really given my thoughts too much on Enid. We've touched on it, of course, because she's been in a lot of episodes and reviews and that. But you guys can definitely weigh in the comments below on just how do you feel about Enid as a character? Do you care? Is she just one of those characters that's just there? For me, that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I feel like with the death of Carl, of course, that's going to probably emotionally make us connect to her better as a viewer than at least than I personally have. For me personally, I've kind of looked at it like, and it's obviously nothing against Caitlin, her performance or anything. No, not at all. Just that she kind of comes in, in the midst of all these other things going on. There's the wolves thing. There's this kind of deal. And she kind of comes in, blends in. She doesn't have a lot, she's barely surviving at that point. She looks like she's going on scraps and she's eating turtles and stuff like this. So, she's having a real tough time. And things, they get a little bit better, I want to say, but not much better for her as things go on because she loses everybody around her. All the kids her own age in Alexandria are basically all dead now. So she's pretty much alone. So what they do with her, if they're going to continue to do some kind of, motherly relationship type of deal with her and Maggie or something like this and have her living at the hilltop or something, it could be interesting. Some people like the idea of using her for a lot of the Carl comic book whisperer moments. So we'll have to see if that's what they decide to do. She is a series regular. So, she might be one of the most likely candidates, her or Henry. Maybe they'll split those parts from the whispers, give some to her, give some to Henry. But so far, I'm looking, in the next season or two to see what they're going to do with her. Because right now, I really am just like, I don't care so much. She just seems like one of those characters that's kind of come in, and she's been around, that kind of thing. And it's some scenes, but, nothing crazy, right? Maybe like her most prominent episode was probably the one where her and Carl go rollerblading there and have their little, date thing in the zombie apocalypse and go to the hilltop and that kind of stuff. So, but definitely going to be really sad to see how she'll react to that. And I am looking forward to seeing that a bit, and just to also see if they can have her connect with fans, a little bit better than I think what she has, so far. It's just that we've had so many characters in the zombie apocalypse now, so many characters over the seasons, and for her, I'm just really interested to see what they're gonna do with her now. Which equivalency is she gonna be? Is she gonna be like a Sophia equivalent, where you have Sophia, who's kind of taken in by Maggie in the comic book series, lives at the hilltop, and is kind of one of those, in the comic book series, she's actually still alive. So that was Carol's daughter, Sophia. She's still alive in the comics. So is Carl. So the TV series, making a big departure from that. Whether or not Enid actually ends up being like her at the hilltop and filling in those parts for her could be cool, but who's going to fill in the role of Carl the boy? That's going to be interesting to see what they do with that and just how that goes. So quite the switch up in the TV series, and I'm excited to see what the future is with her if she ends up being a long-term survivor. I would think that a lot of the survivors right now we're looking at probably have to be. If you're killing Carl off like that, we can't have that many more deaths this season. Like, we can have a few, you can kill off definitely some saviors. You can kill off maybe one or two prominent survivors in All Out War near the end here. But you can't have, a bloodbath because you just killed off an A-lister, which is Carl. So really, really crazy stuff. And, either way, it won't feel like the war had no casualties. You kill Carl off, you kill Morales off. There's a Morales card, right? And, it feels like it's a war. It feels like a lot of characters. Eric, right? So there have been some casualties of the war for sure, and with the big one being Carl, of course, too. So let me know what you guys think we'll see in the future from Enid. Whether or not you care about the character, like, do you care at all, or are you just like, I don't care at all? They should have killed her off instead of Carl or something. I don't know. So let me know what you guys think. Just to hear, where you're at with this and your predictions for the future for the character. I think she might be. I like the Sophia idea that that's what she's probably going to be, like a Sophia 2.0 for the TV series version, because the other one, the barn and the whole bit. So the next question that came in is from TheWalrusWasDanny. That's a funny name. And Danny says, is there such a thing as, or is that like in the wall? Okay, Beatles stuff. Is there such a thing as a pure Fear the Walking Dead fan? And I would say, I don't think so. After all these years reviewing Fear, well, it's only been like, 3 seasons or what have you. But, there's a few people that prefer Fear the Walking Dead to The Walking Dead right now. And that group of people has grown more. Like, that group of people has become, a lot larger than it used to be. But As far as like someone who just likes Fear the Walking Dead and doesn't like The Walking Dead or something, or Fear the Walking Dead is like their favorite series, there's not too many. There's very, very few. Of course, it's a companion series for The Walking Dead, so you had to like The Walking Dead to get into Fear. And maybe a few people turned their back on Walking Dead, decided it's not as good anymore, and Fear season 3 was so hot that they were like, I'm gonna, Fear is what it's all about. It's just that this year, Fear is doing so much exciting stuff that and just so raising so many questions that it's just so interesting to kind of see what they're going to do. Right now it's like Fear is it's definitely stepped up a lot of notches here, and it's definitely become more important for Walking Dead fans, I think, than it used to be. And I'm really excited for what they do this year. So I expect a lot of the Q&As this year, guys. If you don't like Fear, I'm sorry. Maybe give it another try, or just give it a try with Morgan and see what you think, because I think that's something we're going to be focusing on heavily in this next year for sure, just because of all the questions and everything. There's so much discussion about Fear and just things we can talk about because there's so many unknowns. And the original Walking Dead is even a little bit like that too without Carl. So yeah. It's Jellyfish Day, says Trev. Is it possible that since the group is separated at the end of Fear Season 3, that only one of the cast will run into Morgan? So you just have he's saying just have one character out of the Fear group meet Morgan. Like maybe Nicholas will come across Morgan when he was in his clear mode before Eastman or something like this. And could Morgan's state of mind somehow push the Fear group even closer to being the Whisperers? Maybe screaming about where dead people's faces will give the group the initial idea. We'll have to see how they set this whole thing up, but I do anticipate that the Fear group will eventually split, I think, and it'll be a long-term split. It won't be, I don't think it will always be where the group is all in the same location. I do think that based on Dave Erickson's interviews, the original showrunner, his original idea was Madison and Nicholas eventually separate. They split ways, and we've seen some of that in Fear already. But from what he was saying in his kind of outro or his leaving as showrunner interviews, is that was his whole idea. Is that eventually Nicholas decides that he can't follow her anymore, and what she's doing is just too much. He's got to go the other way. So it could create some very interesting stuff, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Who knows? They could scrap all that and go a totally different direction and have everybody meet Morgan. But either way, it should be really cool. And I would love to see Madison kind of be used as a villain to cross over to the original Walking Dead, like I said in the theory video yesterday. I think that would just be so cool, and you wouldn't wreck the whole show because you could have Nicholas as a character to switch to after. Paul Perez says, Trev, I'm really hoping that there is no huge time jump, because I would be very disappointed if there was. We'll be missing an entire development of Madison's group, the what, why, and how they ended up in Texas, if that is indeed the premise. So that's from Paul Perez. The thing is, Paul, is that if you look at the ratings for what Fear the Walking Dead has been doing, if you look at just the numbers for what it's been doing, interest in the show has dwindled, even though Season 3 pulled out all the stops. I mean, Season 2's ratings were like double, or almost maybe not totally double, but almost. And by the end of Season 3 of Fear, you're getting like a couple billion U.S. viewers per episode. It's probably worth doing for AMC, but I guarantee you when they look at their numbers and everything, they think to themselves, we could probably do a lot better than this. The original Walking Dead is doing like 4 to 5 times that. Even when the original Walking Dead's down a bit, it's still doing like over or around 8 at least. So they got to be thinking like maybe we can bring Morgan in, we can do the crossover. Why did we not want to cross over? Like, why did we want to keep them separate? This would be a good opportunity to really take over more of that audience. And if you look at their programming, you have episode of Fear premiering right after The Walking Dead Season 8 ends. So the same night you get the premiere of Fear Season 4 and the finishing up of The Walking Dead Season 8. I mean, smart stuff, guys. You got to admit, right? It's smart stuff. You're going to cross over. That fan base is going to see that episode. They're going to be buzzing for Walking Dead. And you're going to say, hey, you know what? You don't have to wait till next week. We don't know how you feel about Fear, but if you want to see Morgan, you want to see more Morgan, more Walking Dead, here's Fear the Walking Dead, and let's continue along with that. Giving the people what they want and, setting it up, making it easy for them. That's what you have to do. I mean, it makes perfect sense to go ahead with that. I think it's a great idea. And if anything, just compare it to Fear being canceled. Compare it to, more people dropping off and eventually AMC scrapping it or something like this. They're putting more into it. They're putting more thought into it. It's tricky to coordinate these kind of things. but I think they're doing just a smart job with this. They're doing really intelligent decision making here, doing this to try to pull more of that fan base over with Morgan. They got to do it. You know, it's such a good idea, such a good opportunity, even though it kind of sucks we're going to be missing, you know, it's taken a little bit away from Madison's group. Let's just appreciate that we still get to see Madison's group, and they're still going to be in the series, and that season 3 was not the last season of Fear. Because it could have been, you know, if they wanted to pull the plug, they really could have, right? Think about it. Dank Bud says, I'd rather see Fear continue to do their own thing entirely. And I feel what you're saying there too, Dank. You know, it would have been cool in terms of like a quality perspective just to see the Fear group, Madison and the others, go on their own trajectory in their own totally different location there in Mexico or wherever they're going to go, you know, and just see them. But we've had 3 seasons of that. Season 3, I'd like to think, was amazing. And, you know, part of the problem is we don't have that many survivors in Fear right now. So they're adding on Morgan. I'm sure they're going to add on more new characters for the new season and everything. And, you know, as cool as it would be to have them separate, you know, it hasn't been working that great. So they got to, you know, it's like you got to try something else, right? You just got to switch it up. You don't really have a choice. You got to do what you got to do, right? It's all there is to it. It makes so much sense, and it's probably gonna. I'd be shocked if Fear's ratings didn't go up from this and it wasn't doing better than it was before, right? And people weren't more interested, because I'm seeing the interest already. You know, just the question of Morgan going over all the stuff they're doing. This is smart stuff, guys. It's really smart stuff. I mean, I would do the exact same thing. Hicker Y the T says, this will be the last one for today, by the way, guys. Possible theory on the Morgan crossover, Trev. Morgan meets the Fear crew, Fear cast, saves them, and follows them for a while until he learns who they are, and he tries to stop something and gets killed by them. It doesn't show it at the end of Fear Season 4, The Walking Dead Season 9. Rick walks around scavenging, or one of his group and they find his head on a spike. It would create instant fear in people who didn't watch the series and just stick to The Walking Dead. If you did watch Fear, then it's their greatest tipping point to the evil side, similar to comics, but a slight mix-up. So you want to have the Fear group kill Morgan off. I don't know if I'm behind that, Hicker, because it'd be a good setup for villains. Maybe have part of the Fear group kill. Well, even still, you know, I would not want to see all that attention on Morgan, see Morgan cross over into Fear, all these things done just to have him, you know, it's like you're killing Carl off already. You don't need to kill Morgan off too. This is the thing. Like, before we knew Carl was going to be killed, a lot of us were predicting Morgan would be killed this season. It made a lot of sense. It seemed to fit. And he may still be. We don't know. Maybe he will be killed off this season. But you don't have, like Norman Reedus said, that many Season 1 survivors left. You only have a handful. And if you use those deaths too quickly, you might not have much left over for afterwards. You need some fan-favorite characters. Morgan is a fan-favorite character. He's one of my favorite characters in the show. I'd probably even put him higher than Shane at this point as one of my absolute favorites in the whole series. And that's saying something because of how good the first 2 seasons were, how much I'm a fan of John Bernthal Shane. So, you know, I would not want to see Morgan be killed in that way. I just think, I understand, being unpredictable, it makes it exciting and stuff, but you also want to have that nice story too. You don't just want to kill Rick off in the next episode and then do all this crazy stuff and then everybody quits because everyone's like, oh, this is stupid, I don't even want to, it's not a good enough story. You know, you don't want to wreck the story for sake of being unpredictable. So, you know, I like the idea maybe that he does save them, he helps them, so they give him a pass, they don't hurt him or anything like that, but then he finds out that they're not good people, and he somehow tries to escape. They follow him or something, they run into the Rick's group, something like this. Would be really cool to see if Morgan, you know, joined up with them, figured out what they were, left, but then was tracked back or something, and then you get the start of some kind of rivalry between the two. It'd be really cool, man. So I'm hoping to see a crossover backwards, but we might not see that, and that's okay too if we don't. At least you're crossing Morgan into Fear to give Fear a little bit more Walking Dead feel to it. You're getting a great actor, and it's all win-win, I think, for Fear. You're just adding to Fear, and it's, you know, I think it's going to help a lot. So we'll see if it does end up helping, what it looks like. Let me know what you guys think. Write your comments below. First on Enid, how are you feeling about that? And then also, of course, the crossover and all these different ideas. Some really good ideas here. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it, and you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom. Check out these other videos here if you missed them, guys, and I'll see you again soon. It's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See ya.